So it was recently revealed in the media that Marilyn Manson is some kind of a scoundrel. And everyone seems to be reacting to this like it's a scandal. And the ironic thing of that word, scandal, is that the etymology of it means the reprehensible behavior of a religious person. And even though we don't use that definition quite exactly anymore, what we still mean by it is the shocking behavior of a person who we otherwise thought was morally upstanding. But what I find myself wondering about this whole episode is, why is anybody shocked by this? Why do we feel we have the right to be scandalized by the fact that Marilyn Manson isn't a very nice person? So let me ask you, what would you think of somebody who makes a habit of saying disparaging things towards people who have a different skin color from his own? Like, he routinely identifies people based on traits like skin color as part of a group that is different from the group that he identifies with, and he considers his group to be superior. You would probably assume that he's a racist, right? You would assume that the content of his words reflects the content of his thoughts, which is to say that our thoughts precede our words, because you can't create a dichotomy between your thoughts and your words as if the two don't correlate. You can't say, oh, those are just things I like to say, but it doesn't actually reflect what I believe. And there's a very old, even ancient principle, which many of you will recognize, which is that from the heart, the mouth speaks. What you say is a reflection of what's in your heart. Your words produce an incarnate expression of the content of your heart and of your mind. And this is true for your actions as well. So we could expand that principle to say something like, what we say and do is a reflection of the content of our character, of our hearts, and of our minds. This is exactly what culture is for a group of people. Culture is the incarnate expression of the ideas and a way of life of a people. So when you get to witness the expressions of their rituals, their stories, and their art, you will get a pretty good indication of the mind of those people. The thing that we seem to have very little appreciation for in the contemporary world is that culture is downstream from beliefs and ideas, just like our words are downstream from our thoughts. Words are a material expression of our thoughts, whereas culture is the cultic material expression of the character of a society. And every society needs a culture. They need a way to encounter who and what they are. They need to celebrate it, to ritualize it, and as they do so, they come to that deeper understanding of who and what they are. And sadly, in the age of multicultural, we don't really have that. We have a kind of cultural relativism, which is self-defeating, because culture is supposed to bring together community and give them a sense of belonging and identity. But when everybody is asserting their own individual preferences, it has the opposite effect. And when the community doesn't have a strong sense of identity, then people who have a strong individual sense of themselves can simply insert themselves and be the loudest one there. And that's how we get saddled with a Marilyn Manson as a significant contributor to our own culture. Because the closest approximation we have to culture in contemporary society is pop culture, of which Marilyn Manson is a common fixture, which is to say that everyone's familiar with Marilyn Manson. And in the absence and weakness of our sense of communal identity, people like Marilyn Manson will again assert themselves loudly, and in our weakness, we embrace them and celebrate them. We have no way to push back against them. We shower them with honor and wealth for their contribution to the incarnation of our ideas, beliefs, and way of life. But what was it that Marilyn Manson has been incarnating for the past 30 years or so through his body of work? It was the portraiture of a fiend, a villain, or a monster. And as far as anyone could tell, he didn't take that costume off when he went home. And we celebrated him for this depiction. When he's saying things like virgins sold in quantity and who said date rape isn't kind, we said, yeah, that's fine. And when a few people, especially Christians, objected to this, saying, I don't think this is the kind of thing we want to be celebrating and embracing as part of our shared culture, everyone else responded by saying, if you don't like it, you don't have to listen to it. Which is to say that culture is relative, which is to say we have no shared culture, therefore anything goes. So when it turns out that the guy who claimed that he wanted to flip all our moral conventions around doesn't behave according to moral conventions, What right do we have to act shocked 30 years later? What right do we have to act scandalized by someone who was apparently very upfront about who he was and what he was about from the very beginning? I mean, it's not like he was hiding himself. When the content of a person's words and work is meant to portray a monster, what right do we have to be surprised when it turns out that he's actually a monster? The lesson to be learned from the Marilyn Manson scandal isn't, I'm shocked, he should be canceled. It should be, what have we celebrated? What have we embraced? And what have we created? Marilyn Manson, for his contribution to society, is merely the expression of what we as a society already are, which is either that we're okay with inviting monsters into our midst, or that we have such a weak identity of our own culture that we can't push back against alternatives, so we just allow them until we can't stomach them anymore. We don't get to disavow people like Marilyn Manson and then congratulate ourselves for being morally upright. We should be looking in the mirror that he is holding up, and ask ourselves how it is that we came to simultaneously object to monstrous behavior while celebrating monsters. Hey, thanks for watching that. If you enjoyed it, then be sure to like and subscribe for more. And if you want to support the making of content like this, then please consider joining my online community, The Reinforcements. It's kind of like Patreon, but instead of being beholden to a big tech company, it's a website I built entirely myself, so there's no risk of us being censored or shut down or anything like that. There are hundreds of people who have already signed up, and our mission is to renew and reinforce the church. So if that's you, then come check it out. As an added bonus for certain tiers, I will also send you a gift box from Glory and Shine, which is a Catholic, family-owned and operated company. They make bath and body products. They're their beard balm I'm supporting, or I'm sporting right now. I'm not just a spokesperson, I'm actually a customer. So even if you don't join the Reinforcements, maybe check them out anyways. Glory and Shine, they're an amazing company.